Hi there, welcome to another edition of Extraordinary Connection. My name is Deacon Sarah Alexander, and I serve as Deacon of Young People's Ministries at Birmingham First in Birmingham, Michigan. And if you are viewing this video, know that it is part of a larger collection called Extraordinary Connection, which can be found at extraordinaryconnection.org. Today I am just pondering and recognizing that it's been about a year since we've now been in this global pandemic because of COVID-19. And it got me thinking about the moment that I realized that things were different. What was that one moment when you realized everything had changed? For me, it was morning time, and I was reading the news that was coming out of Italy about how the pandemic had, completely shook their country and how they were now in lockdown. And a little bit of panic set in. At that point, I was 8 weeks pregnant. Not many people knew that we were expecting. And now we were facing a pandemic with lots of unknowns ahead of us. And I'm sure you have a time when you can look back and recognize when that moment was for you, when you realized things are different. When we couldn't find toilet paper or baking supplies, when we were doing, chalk art and putting rainbows in our windows to spread good cheer, when we were sending cards to shut-ins and food to first responders. It was definitely a time in our history that we will remember forever. And so I got thinking about how, this is also during a time of Lent, the season of preparation ahead of Easter, when we take a minute to pause and think about all that is before us and how we can continue to grow in our relationship with God. And so that also got me thinking about how the disciples probably had a moment for them when they realized that the world had changed because of Christ's life, death, and resurrection. What was the moment for them when they realized everything is different, that the world has changed, and that they were part of that change as we have been part of this change in our world. And so I wrote a litany, and we'll post it also on our website on the blog. But I thought I would read this litany for us to ponder some of the parallels between our moments and the disciples' moments. This is called #TheMomentLitany. When did you realize everything had changed? The moment I knew the world changed, that moment, when I realized the few people I considered to be my inner circle were the only ones that I would come to count on. The moment I knew the world changed, I sat around a table in disbelief, thinking back to the last time I saw my friend and unsure when I would see them again. I knew the moment anger boiled up inside of me for the injustice and unthinkable loss the world would come to experience. I knew the moment the place where I usually get food was completely out of stock of everything. 1 week it was fine. The next week we were fighting to find anything on our list. The fear of scarcity was overwhelming. I had to trust that all would be well and that my family would be provided for. Let down the nets for a catch. Our nets broke. There were so many fish. I just fell at his knees. I knew when I could no longer return to work. I just left. I'm sure my office looked like the end of Avengers: Infinity War, like I was just plucked out of the middle of a regular work week. All I had to hear were those 2 words: follow me. I didn't need my former life. I knew someone else could fill the role of tax collector. Actually, I didn't believe. I didn't think it was true. Everything everyone was saying seemed so dramatic. Where was the proof? It seemed like each day there was a news story saying something contradicting the story before it. Things were changing so quickly. I had so many doubts. Unless I saw the mark of the nails in his hands and put my finger in the mark of the nails and my hand in his side, I could not believe. After I realized where we were in the new reality, the protests started. This is what I had been waiting for. The crowds gathered, the people waved their palms, and finally I knew that Jesus realized the power he had within himself to force the Roman hand. Justice was ours. Finally, people would get loud. Finally, the voices of the oppressed would be heard. This quickly turned as I realized my understanding of power was different than his. And I thought I could take matters into my own hands. The moment I kissed his cheek, I couldn't have known how the world would forever change. I knew when he spoke truth about me that only I knew. I knew when he saw me under the fig tree before Philip called me to come. How could someone know me so deeply without ever meeting me? The moment I knew it was morning, I felt like the world was crashing down around me. Others were just able to go about their regular routine. Did they not know what was happening? What had happened? I was standing at the opening of the tomb. I thought someone had taken him away. A man who I thought was the gardener asked why I wept. Then he said my name, Mary. In that moment, I knew that the world had changed forever. Friends, as you contemplate how you recognize that the world had changed forever, I also wonder how you recognize that your world has changed forever for following in the light of Jesus. How extending a hand of grace when you don't want to, when turning the other cheek seems like just such a far extension of what you're actually able to do. In those moments of struggle, when you choose light, when you choose love, when you choose grace, in those moments, know that the world is changed forever. Although they might be small, following Jesus is never an easy choice to make. And so, friends, I would just invite you to contemplate those moments. What are those moments for you, both in the pandemic and in your faith? We'll see you again on extraordinaryconnection.org.